A deal on Dickens, who could resist? A stack of Austen, warmly kissed. Golden Age crime tales twist and turn, every page a treasure to learn. Books keep coming home with me, piles so tall they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea, reading always feels so free.
Hi, my name is Talia. Welcome to Talia Nerds Out. Just want to do a quick book haul video. I have not finished showing things that I picked up in 2025. I just kind of let things go during the year. Either I would just not feel like doing a book haul video, or I would be like, oh, I have stuff coming in, so I wouldn't do a book haul video until that stuff came in and things would get away from me. Whatever might be the case, I have some books I still need to show. So here are a few of the books. I have here a few classics and some history books. Now, I will say one of these books is from this year, and that is the Portable Edgar Allan Poe. This is a Penguin classic. I share a birthday with Edgar Allan Poe, and I wanted to be able to read some of his work on that day. And actually, even though I've read the obvious things like The Cask of Amontillado, The Telltale Heart, I think the story is actually called, I've always called it Buried Alive, but I think it might actually be The Premature Burial. But even though I've read, of course, The Raven, The Bells, those kind of things, I've read those stories, but I've never read his mysteries, which, considering my personal interest in mysteries in general, especially older mysteries, it's kind of a crime that I haven't read his, especially since right now I'm also reading Anna Catherine Green, who is the mother of the detective novel, and he's the father of detective fiction. So I actually had to see if his, I'll check for his mysteries back here. Poems, letters, mysteries. Okay. Because he might be able to count for Manifest Destiny. I'm pretty sure he will. Just checking the dates. 1837, 1901. Yeah, I think I can count reading him from Manifest Destiny. Yep. Okay. So just so you know, Manifest Destiny is a year-long readathon that's being run by Ariane of Book Zealots. I haven't seen as much Prometheus the past few months because he is at school now, but it's Ariane's baby. I'm pretty sure that when Prometheus is home, he's involved with that as well. But the idea is you read about or works by people who are American, or like I said, things about Americans during the Victorian era. So anything that might be American that would happen during Victoria's reign. And Edgar Allan Poe counts because he was American and he was a Victorian author. So yes, I will be reading him not only for my birthday, but for Manifest Destiny. I also have a biography about him, but I probably won't be reading that this year. But yes, I look forward to diving into this. Also, picked up for, we ended up deciding to do a buddy read for this, or I'm sorry, group read for this. I picked this up last year. This is Rob Roy, toward the end of the year. It's a Sir Walter Scott book. I think I fell in love with the cover first. And this is a Wordsworth Classics edition. And this is the group read that I'll be doing in May. It'll be with Rainer Reads. Homeschool Library is joining us. Mom, Marlise's Meanderings. Also, Genre Books, Gavin. And Ghost Readers in the Sky. I know I'm probably forgetting a couple of people, but those are the people I can think of off the top of my head. We're all doing a buddy read for Rob Roy. Really looking forward to this. I picked this one up initially for Epistolary January, but I decided that my beginning of year was a little bit too packed this year, so maybe next year for Epistolary January. But this is I Capture the Castle. It's by Dodie Smith. It just sounded good. I love this cover. Look at the pen and the castle. It looks like maybe it's a path, but also, I don't know, it's just a really cool cover. And it was written in 1948 was the first copyright. So 17-year-old Cassandra Mortmain and her family live in not-so-genteel poverty in a ramshackle Old English castle. Here she strives over 6 turbulent months to hone her writing skills. She fills 3 notebooks with sharply funny yet poignant entries. Her journals candidly chronicle the great changes that take place within the castle's walls and her own first descent into love. By the time she pens her final entry, she has captured the castle and the heart of the reader in one of literature's most enchanting entertainments. And this has been a book that I've heard about on and off for a number of years. And I ended up checking it out when I realized it could potentially count for Epistolary January. And yeah, look forward to eventually reading this, but it won't be right now. But it was initially my plan for this year. This one, I think I picked up on, it was during, Princeton Press had a 70% off sale at one point. Actually, it had a 70% off sale, I think, a couple times last year. And I picked this up during one of their sales. And this is Reading It Wrong, an alternative history of early 18th century literature, which, first of all, history of literature, that's just up my alley. And I don't know, that this will be interesting. The idea explores the misunderstanding, muddle, and confusion of readers of the past when they first met the uniquely elusive writings of the period. Abigail Williams uses the marginal marks and jottings of these readers to show that flawed interpretation has its own history and its own important role to play in understanding how, why, and what we read. Arion, you might be interested in this. It just sounds good. I look forward to engaging with that later. This one, okay, I picked up this one this year and not last year. This one ended up having a really slashed price on Amazon. I've been watching it for a long time. Normally it's like $20-some. It got down to like $7, so I snagged it. This is Joanna of Flanders. I was reading a different history book, and I feel like it came up I think it might come up in the book I was reading about Henry IV. So, she came up and she sounded interesting to me. And when I saw that her biography was slashed in price, I was like, okay, well, I need to grab it while it's still a reasonable price, because who knows when it'll be something I can purchase again. So I haven't read anything about her other than passing remarks. So I'm interested in seeing if there really is enough for them to really do a biography and how it's handled. This one here, I've been watching on and off for a while. I can't remember if I picked this up toward the end of last year or at the beginning of this year. But this is The Age of Homespun, Objects and Stories in the Creation of American Myth. And it goes through, so using objects that Americans saved through the centuries and stories they have passed along, as well as histories teased from documents, Laurel Thatcher Ulrich chronicles the production of cloth and history in early America. Under the singular and brilliant lens that Ulrich brings to the study ordinary household goods, Indian baskets, spinning wheels, a chimney piece, a cupboard, a niddy-noddy, bed coverings, silk embroidery, a pocketbook, a linen tablecloth, a coverlet, a rose blanket, and an unfinished stocking provide the key to a transformed understanding of cultural encounter, frontier war, revolutionary politics, international commerce, and early industrialization in America. and just a bunch of stuff, all this history, but brought to the forefront by these handmade objects. So it almost makes you think a little bit of the other book that I read last year. Actually, I think I read over 2 years, which was Woman's Work, which talked about in antiquity the history of things like work with fabrics, and it talked about dyes and spinning, and it was a really interesting book. This seems like almost like the American version of that, just less, it covers a smaller span of time, and it deals with specific objects. Right up my alley. Then here, now this should be unsurprising to most people once they see the title, that why I would have picked up something like this. At least people who follow my channel for a while. It's not been unusual for me to have an interest in things where history and science, particularly medical science, intersect. And this is Disability in the Tudors, All the King's Fools. So, often portrayed as fools at court or beggars dependent on the church, little is known about what life was really like for disabled people living in Tudor England. How did they survive and overcome their impairments? Were they able to fit in and contribute to society? Was there any form of support available? From the nobility to the lowest of society, Philippa Vincent Connolly casts a light on the lives of disabled people in Tudor England and guides us through the social, religious, cultural, and ruling classes' response to disability as it was then seen. I'm thinking that if you weren't able to make your way, you were either supported by family or by charity through the church, etc. But we'll see how correct or incorrect I might be. Because I remember it coming up in... Sorry guys, I ran out of storage space and had to delete some older videos. Okay, so as I was saying, one thing that came up when I was reading a book, I think it was either last year or the year before, it was the year before, about science and religion, where they're talking about there was definitely suffering when it came to the sick and the poor once the monasteries were dissolved, because a lot of the support system disappeared. You lost a lot of your settled health care, and they had to kind of reestablish things, scramble to do that. And so I'm wondering if that'll be addressed a little bit here as well. So that'll be interesting. Now, I also picked up, one of these is a gift, one of these I picked up. Oh no, these I picked both of these up, excuse me. I can't remember, it's been a while since I picked these up. So this is the Folio Society, still have the box for this one. The Pastons, A Family in the Wars of the Roses. So beautiful book, typical Folio Society. So I look for, and the Pastons, stuff about them has been on my radar for a while. So when I saw this beautiful book, of course, I can't pick up Folio Society new. I had picked it up used. But this is in really good shape, so I'm really happy about that. Now this is one, I ended up seeing this later on at least one other channel. Actually, I think I saw this on 2 other channels. I think that I saw this on, I want to say Elvis, Book Time with Elvis might have shown this. Actually, I know Book Time with Elvis showed this because he chose this book for a book tag video. And then the other person who I think showed this very recently was Triumphal Reads, Justin Triumphal Reads. But this beautiful book, The Monks of War. And not only is the cover absolutely gorgeous, the topic is really interesting because I don't know a whole lot. I mean, I read a book on the Knights Templar by Dan Jones. I had borrowed it from Libby And actually, I think I listened to it because that's how Libby had it available. But I really enjoyed that, and I might at some point have to look into getting the physical form so I can actually read it, because I always absorb better if I read versus if I listen. But the reader he had was very good, and I did absorb a decent amount of the information because the reader was good. But this will cover the Hospitallers as well. Probably also the the Order of St. John's. So I'm pretty sure that's the Hospitallers. I'm not sure if it's going to touch on the Teutonic ones. So yeah, I'm sure there's other monks of war that I'm not familiar with, but I just really look forward to learning a bit more about them. Then this one, I can't remember when last year I picked this up. I know I picked it up used because when I can, I do. Unless there's like a huge sale that I can take advantage of. But this is Nightingales, the Extraordinary Upbringing and Curious Life of Miss Florence Nightingale. And I've read other Gillian Gill's works, which is part of why I picked up this one. This has a nice feel in the hand for the paperback. I know I have a physical book for Florence Nightingale as well. This one feels like it might be a bit thick. I mean, it's hard to tell because it's a paperback size, so it's going to seem thicker than my hardcover that's taller. But it's a different author than my other book. Like I said, I do like the feel of this book. This feels like you can kind of curl up with it. And really, I feel like I kind of should have learned more about Nightingale a long time ago. Then these other two were ones I picked up towards the end of last year with a sale they had at Riction Books. I have other books in their series. Their series is the medieval, what do they call this? The Medieval Lives series. The first book in this series that I read was the one on Venerable Bede. That was my first exposure to Michelle P. Brown's work. And that book was called what was it called? All Things According to Bede, or Bede in some, oh man, I wish I could remember. Hold on one sec. Well, while I was at it, I just grabbed all my Riction books that I have thus far. But this was the first one I read, was Bede and the Theory of Everything by Michelle P. Brown. And I don't think I read this last year. I think I read this a year before. So in 2024. I'm so sorry. I really enjoyed this, although I read it at the time on Kindle, and I don't think I got to enjoy the pictures as much because of that. And I think I would have gotten more out of it if I read it physically. Now, they do have glossy pages, which is not my preference. I have had a couple books that I've read where the pages have been glossy, and I generally don't prefer that, because then if you want to write notes, you have to have like a Sharpie, or you have to have sticky notes with you. So not thrilled about that aspect of these books, but the quality has been good in my experience for the actual content and the book itself, other than that aspect. Now, before I show the other two that I picked up with the sale, it was hard to decide on just two, because I couldn't justify more than two with the sale, even with the sale. So this one is Francis of Assisi, His Life, Vision, and Companions. And the author from this one actually is a Franciscan. So, yeah. And this one has some beautiful pictures in it. Honestly, I would say that you're behooved to pick up, if you can, the Riction Medieval Lives physically, because the pictures tend to be absolutely gorgeous, and you are missing out, especially if you have a if you have like a Kindle Paperwhite, the way I do, you aren't going to do justice to the book if you don't have the physical form. Now this one, the pages feel like they're less glossy for this one, which is nice. Now this one here is, I think the other glossy book I read recently, and I'm still reading, is the other Michelle P. Brown book that I have actually actively going, which is Linda's Foreign Gospels. I'm pretty sure that's glossy pages too. Maybe it's a Michelle P. Brown thing. Anyway, I'm pretty sure it's a publisher, not her. Then Audrey Rublev, The Artist and His World. This is one of the shorter ones, quite a bit shorter. And sorry about that, I had an alarm go off. This is supposed to be about a monk and painter associated with Moscow and Central Russia at a time of growing prosperity while still under Tatar rule. And he lived from in the 1360s to 1430, which I don't know much about Russian art during this period. And this one you definitely have to have physical as well, just because, this is art. Oh, hey, isn't that pretty? I wonder if he does metalwork mostly. No, it looks like if this is his work, he doesn't do just metal. I'm interested in seeing, because I actually know nothing about him, so. Here's wall painting. Okay, but like I said, I knew nothing about him. That's why I picked up this book. And then this one. The Art of Anatomy in Medieval Europe. I think I picked this up during a different Recteon sale. Not last year, but maybe the year before. I can't remember. These are older ones here. Unlike these two, which I picked up this year. These are older ones, but I just wanted to show you what I was thinking about the other Recteon books that I have. This is Art of Anatomy in Medieval Europe by Taylor McCall. And yeah, so you have different things that do with dissection. Really an interesting way to draw a pregnant woman. Woman undergoing treatment by a physician. So just interesting ideas. It combines some of my interest of history, of art history, and medical history. I have a book that deals with Florence and art and medical history as well. But this is like an earlier version of that, because that was like Renaissance. Okay, so those Recteon books are older. This is not from this book haul. This is an older haul. I know I showed them when these came in a long time ago. But these, I wanted to show them because I wanted to show the bead book. And I was like, well, they're all in the same place. Let me show them now. But these are the ones I actually picked up last year with the sale that came up around Christmas time. And I've been eyeballing these for a while. This is Johannes Gutenberg, A Biography in Books. And then The Troubadours, which that's just an interesting topic in general. I know there's also a book out there called, I think, Lady Troubadours, which is an even more interesting idea because I don't know that, I guess it kind of makes sense, but usually when I think of troubadours, I think of a guy like wandering around like singing songs by himself, but I guess you did have groups. And you could potentially have a man and a woman traveling together. I wouldn't imagine it'd be women traveling alone being troubadours. I don't know if that will be addressed in here or if that's something that I have to wait till the other book from a different publisher comes down, the one about Lady Troubadours. But for this particular series, Medieval Lives, and this particular topic, this is about troubadours in general, and it's a thicker book. But yeah, that is it for this particular book haul. Some of these were not in a related book haul. I just wanted to show my other Medieval Lives books, and I will put these all away together where they belong because I keep my Medieval Lives books together. Okay, and yeah, just wanted to share that book haul with you. I hope that you enjoyed seeing those particular books and the little like extra surprise of seeing the Recteon books again. But anyway, you have a very wonderful day, and I will see you the next time. God bless. Bye-bye.
Books keep coming home with me, piles so tall they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea. Reading always feels so free.